Hello, ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and guys, you got a very interesting video once again. So, this is RFDS, Royal Flying Doctor Service. I've never heard about anything like this, so I did a little research. So, of course, the title is Australia's Flying Heroes. So again, I did a little research, and I didn't know anything like this existed. But of course, it's going to be my first time watching this video. Of course, I'm pretty sure it's going to be very informative. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's not waste time, and let's hop right in.
It's 6:30 p.m. A resident of the Kiwaruka community falls off a ladder and is knocked unconscious. Found by a friend, it's clear that the patient has received significant head trauma and needs to be evacuated to a hospital quickly. In the most remote part of the Australian outback, there are no hospitals for hundreds of miles. An ambulance to the nearest hospital could take upwards of half a day just to reach our patient, whose condition is deteriorating fast, and another half day to bring them back to the hospital. Another resident calls 1300, contacting the only service capable of getting there in enough time to give our patient a fighting chance before they deteriorate too much. The call is received by dispatch at the Royal Flying Doctor Service in Alice Springs, 390 miles away. Alice Springs is the nearest city capable of treating our patient effectively and the closest RFDS base. The crew are briefed as they start off their Pilatus PC-12, and within minutes, Flying Dock 872 is airborne.
Wow.
The Kiwaruka community airstrip is not paved, controlled, or even illuminated in the same way as large airports. When the doctor's coming, it's a community effort to prepare the runway.
Wow, so basically it's in the rural areas where, it's very hard to get to the hospital in half a day. That's a long time, and another half a day to actually get to the hospital. So my goodness, this service is absolutely amazing. Let's continue.
It's a community effort to prepare the runway. The sun's going down, and without light, the runway will be invisible to the pilot. A group of the townspeople set out onto the runway in their vehicles to quickly light the strip's gas canisters that line the runway. Less than 45 minutes after takeoff, the Pilatus lands, carrying a pilot and a flight nurse who checks our patient's vital signs and evaluates their condition. They are placed onto a stretcher and lifted onto the plane. The doors are shut, the engine is started, and just like that, our patient is whisked away into the night sky.
Wow.
Stabilized on the flight, within the hour, our patient will be received at Alice Springs Hospital. For a journey that would take maybe more than a day by road, this whole ordeal is over in about 3 hours. What was described just now is what is dealt with day in, day out by Australia's Royal Flying Doctor Service, or RFDS. Founded on the 5th of May, 1928, the RFDS is the world's oldest air ambulance service.
1928. Wow, that's a long time. But it's amazing, guys. Even today, it still stands. My goodness, guys. No, I'm really enjoying this video. I'm sorry for pausing so much.
Standing at 94 years old at the time of writing, 2022. Like most air ambulances, the RFDS is a charitable, non-profit organization relying on the donations of others to maintain their life-savings operations all across the Australian outback.
You hear this?
An air ambulance service like the RFDS is truly essential in a country as sparsely populated as Australia, as there are countless towns, villages, and settlements hundreds of miles from the nearest hospital, and transportation by road is simply not practical when time is of the essence in a country so vast. The RFDS found its beginnings in the mind of the Reverend John Flynn in 1912. Posted to remote parts of the Australian state of Victoria, Flynn saw that people who felt ill and needed urgent medical attention would have to travel for tens or hundreds of miles for days on end, using a primitive road system in primitive vehicles, or a horse and cart, or even on camelback. This method of transport was not sterile, it was slow, and allowed patients to die en route, provided that transport was even available at all. During the mid-1910s, Reverend Flynn initially set up hospitals in bush communities under the Australian Inland Mission. However, this still left patients out on ranches outside the sphere of any practical medical coverage. Flynn had previously written numerous pamphlets on the subject, one of which, A Call to the Church, left an impression on one John.
Wow, just to say, guys, the founder of this entire thing is a guy with a big heart. Like, to me, if you have to create something like this, it reflects on the person that you are. That's why it's a very heartfelt thing. And again, guys, like I said, it's my first time actually, hearing about all of this, and my goodness, this is really touching.
One of which, A Call to the Church, left an impression on one John Clifford Peel, a medical student with an interest in aviation. Peel soon wrote to the Reverend regarding the possibility of using aircraft as a quick method of communication in rural areas, something which the two discussed greatly until Peel joined the Australian Flying Corps as a pilot in 1917 and was deployed to the Western Front in Europe. But the idea didn't die with Peel's departure from Australia. During his voyage, Peel continued to brainstorm the project. While on operation in September 1918, however, Peel crashed while on a reconnaissance flight over northeastern France, dying as a result. Despite this, the idea did not die with Peel. With aircraft at the time few and far between, Reverend Flynn initially used Peel's legacy of improved outback communication with the support of innovative human/pedal-powered radio transmitters, transmitting Morse code, and the human voice later on as the technology improved throughout the 1920s. But the idea of a flying doctor service never left Reverend Flynn's mind. Throughout this time, the Reverend undertook countless fundraising activities with the aim of somehow procuring an aircraft. A handful of experimental aerial medical evacuations were carried out in 1926 and 1927 as proof of concept, and in 1928, Reverend Flynn entered into an agreement with the Queensland and Northern Territory Aerial Services, or Qantas to you and I. This agreement saw Qantas lease Reverend Flynn one single-engine de Havilland DH-50 called Victory, operating under the name of the Australian Aerial Medical Service. With Qantas pilot Arthur Affleck at the controls, the new medical air service set out on its first mission from Cloncurry to Julius Creek, both in Queensland, with surgeon Dr. Kenyon Welch on board, and thus Australia had just pioneered the concept of the air ambulance.
Wow, guys, I have to say, I really like this. I like the fact that they went, into from the beginning and to what it is now. This is such an amazing video. This is such an amazing service. If I would imagine a lot of Australians would, donate to this service, and if I were one of them, absolutely.
And thus, Australia had just pioneered the concept of the air ambulance. Even though it had to rely extremely heavily on public fundraising during the Great Depression of the 1930s, the Flying Doctor Service had made a distinct impression on the Australian public as an indispensable asset to Australian and outback life, using pioneering technologies to improve the ways of life and survivability of those out in the bush. In fact, even during the Great Depression, the FDS continued growing and going from strength to strength, adding types such as the de Havilland DH-50s, Fox Moths, Dragons, Doves, and the de Havilland Australia DHA-3 Drover, and the fleet only continued to grow. In 1942, it was renamed to the Flying Doctor Service, and later given the Royal prefix in 1955, bringing us to the Royal Flying Doctor Service we know today.
Wow.
As of today, the RFDS operates 80 aircraft that are essentially flying intensive care units.
80 aircraft.
Their current fleet consists of 4 main types, including 30 Beechcraft 200s and 200Cs, 10 Beechcraft 300C and 350s, 1 Beechcraft 360, 35 Pilatus PC-12s, and 4 of their current flagship and largest aircraft, the Pilatus PC-24s, which is currently the RFDS only jet type. Each aircraft is delivered as is, with none of the air ambulance interiors fitted until after they land in Australia. These interiors consist of what you might find in the back of a regular ambulance, such as space for stretchers, ventilators, IV drips, and other equipment that can be used to stabilize a patient before they arrive at the hospital.
Guys, I I don't know how to say this, but all of this is just so beautiful. Guys, honestly, I wouldn't mind if there's another video I could check out with I don't know, like the process of like a one-on-one. When I mean one-on-one, like this is like a documentary. So basically, I would like to see like in first view, like someone maybe speaking in front of us. You know what I mean? Like this kind of view. But that is wow. To see where they started and where they are now. Oh my goodness. No, I have a round of applause. This is amazing.
And other equipment that can be used to stabilize a patient before they arrive at the hospital. Each refit of the cabin will usually take an average of 760 man-hours per aircraft. The difference between the different generations of Beechcraft aircraft in the RFDS fleet is largely mechanical, as well as differences in avionics, but their dimensions remain the same. In addition to the flight crew, usually just one pilot. The Beechcrafts have space for 2 stretchers and 3 flight nurses if need be, but usually only operate with just 1 flight nurse. They can all cruise at 312 knots, with a range between 1235 and 1806 nautical miles depending on the variant. The Pilatus 12 is the largest single type in the fleet. It too has the capacity of 3 flight nurses and 2 stretchered patients, although usually only 1 nurse.
One nurse, like you
but
said.
has a minor lead in terms of practicality over the Beechcraft, as the cockpit doors allow the pilots to perform a walk-around without having to disturb a patient in the cabin. It can cruise at 285 knots for 1,845 nautical miles.
Aye. And just to say this here is this seems like it's the only service like this in Australia where they do what they do. I'm just wondering if they didn't exist, what would have happened? Like I maybe I'm just thinking of things that I shouldn't think of, but I'm just thinking like if this service didn't exist. Guys, a lot of us had to be thankful. Of course, I'm not in Australia, but I'm just thinking if I was an Australian and not close to the city or anything like this, way like far away. Well, I don't know.
The Pilatus PC-24 is the largest type operated by the RFDS. Called emergency wards, the PC-24 has a capacity for 3 stretchered patients and up to 4 medical flight crew. With only 4 in the fleet, these aircraft have to be based across the country in order to maximize their speed and range in the widest radius. Currently, they are based in Jandakot, as well as Broome, West Australia, and in Adelaide, South Australia. The PC-24 can cruise at 440 knots for 1,800 nautical miles, an enormous reduction in response time. The RFDS was the first operator of the PC-24 as an air ambulance, with it also now being used in Sweden and the United States in similar roles. In addition to these fixed-wing aircraft, the RFDS also operates 2 Airbus helicopters EC-145s out of Perth, Western Australia. The RFDS currently operates out of 45 bases all across Australia.
Ooh.
They are reflective of both the population centers of the Australian people and the availabilities of hospitals therein. As a result, many of their bases are located in the eastern end of the country.
Wow.
Their aircraft have some of the highest utilization of their class. For example, the average Pilatus PC-12 will gain only around 200 flight hours in comparison to the RFDS PC-12s, which accumulate an average of 1,600 per year. That's roughly 4 hours, 25 minutes a day spent in the air just for this single type, which is testament to how vital a service they are and a testament to their commitment to the Australian people.
Absolutely
a call-out
great.
can be anything from an infection to a major car crash and everything in between. It can happen anywhere, at any time. Sometimes they even have to use roads as emergency landing strips.
Wow.
The pilots and medics are some of the most highly skilled and most highly motivated, highly prized, and highly regarded flight crews in the world, ready to assist anyone, anywhere, at any time of night or day. This is the mission they agreed to complete when flying to the furthest corner, delivering the finest care. It is safe to say that Reverend John Flynn would be truly proud of his Royal Flying Doctor's service.
Yeah. My oh my. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen. And this is one of the most beautiful videos I've seen in a very long time. This is amazing, guys. A video popped up. My humbling day as a royal flying doctor. It seems that's the kind of video I want to check out. Like, it seems that he's like, in person, experiencing this. But damn, that was one amazing video. Ladies and gentlemen, if I were Australian, of course, I would definitely donate to this service. And it just shows you how, I'm even amazed to see how, far they came. I don't mean that in disrespect. Understand? I'm saying, like, they started from basically not too much to everything, and services everywhere across Australia. And it's just so nice they provide a service like this to, to people that are, less fortunate, I should say, in terms of the distance. Damn, ladies and gentlemen, that was an incredible video. I'm done today. I needed this beauty in my eyes in terms of like such goodness. Damn, kudos to the founder of this and everyone a part of it. But you guys know when I said the founder, this guy definitely had a big heart. Bless his heart, of course. Damn, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you guys for being here today. That was an incredible video. The link is in the description here, but I'm pretty sure everyone has seen this already. I'm late to the party of a lot of content on YouTube. But again, thank you so much for watching. Please, if you can, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see all of you beautiful and wonderful people on the next one. Everyone, please take care.